Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I woke up and I went outside and the breeze, there's like a nice wind and it's like 60 degrees outside and I live in Texas. So if you know anything about Texas, it's not the coolest place and it usually doesn't feel like fall until November. So I was very excited. I put on my Aerie Lumberjane shirt and I lit a candle. And I'm just feeling very fall mood right now, so I decided that I wanted to make a fall book recommendation video. So that's what I'm gonna do today. I'm gonna try to give you some like non-basic book recommendations because I've watched some of these for inspiration. And I noticed a lot of people recommend the same books, and so I have a few in here that are oldies but goodies, but I also tried to incorporate some of my own personal favorites that give me fall vibes. Starting off with a classic, we have Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. So obviously this book is dark, right? We all know the story. I think if you haven't read this book, you absolutely should do it in the fall because those are the vibes that this book gives. I also think that because Frankenstein is such a big part of Halloween culture and fall time, I think if you don't know the true story of Frankenstein, you should definitely take the fall to learn about it. So I would recommend this as my first book. My next book is Inkheart by Cornelia Funk. So I read this book when I was probably about 12 years old. It's one of the books that first got me into reading after I read Harry Potter, after I read Percy Jackson, after I read Hunger Games and Wings of Fire. This is what I turned to, and this it's just like all those books. If you enjoyed any of the ones I just listed, you'll probably like this. It has a very big influence on me. The main character is a reader, and so as a reader this made me feel very normalized. Back when I read when reading wasn't trendy and people made fun of me for it, and I know that that's like stupid, but really, if you grew up as a reader, you know that around people who don't read it was kind of odd. So to have this book, it made me feel really seen. The cozy vibes are very much present in this book. It takes place in like a warm house, and there's fantasy elements, and if you don't know, fall is fantasy. Fall is the time to read fantasy, okay? Because summer fantasy books just don't hit the same. Fall is definitely the time for fantasy. So this book is very juvenile feeling, and that's what makes it kind of fun. Like there's still high stakes, but at the end of the day, you know it's fiction, and it's just kind of a cozy, fun read. I would definitely recommend this book. So basically, her dad reads books, and when he reads them out loud, the things in the book come to life. And so basically, that's the setting of this book, which is very fun. So I recommend that. My next recommendation is Verity by Colleen Hoover. I know that the Colleen Hoover controversy, the hate is real right now, okay? The hate is real, and I think it just got added more fuel to the fire with the movie coming out. But I do think this is one of her books that I really enjoyed, and I'm not embarrassed to admit that, you know? Even if it's not a good piece of literature, it can be bad and you can still enjoy it, and there's no shame in that. So this is a thriller. If you want to read thriller, but you don't know where to start, I think this one is pretty safe. It wasn't too gory or gross necessarily, so I think this is a good, safe starter. I literally didn't put this book down until I finished it. I started it one morning and I finished it the next day, and I stayed up super late all through the night reading it. You won't be able to put it down. I sure as heck wasn't able to. The plot twist is actually crazy. Like, I know I've watched some reviews where they were able to guess it, and if you're one of those people who is probably, you can guess the endings of books, I can't speak for that because I'm not one of those people, but if you're just normal and you like this type of book, I think you definitely get Verity a try, especially if you've never read Colleen Hoover. I don't think this is one of the problematic ones. I think this one is one of the ones that I actually really enjoyed. My next book recommendation is All of Us Villains. It's by two different authors, Amanda Foody and Christine Lynn Herman, And so basically this book is like a dark version of the Hunger Games, is really what made me think of. So there's magic involved, it's dark, the main characters are very interesting because some of them right off the bat have sinister motivations and bad characteristics that would make them more villains, and some of the other characters are like the good people, but you see what desperation makes them do in order to save their lives. And it's just very interesting psychology that happens, and it was just very interesting book. I highly recommend this book. I've already talked about it some in one of my other videos, so you should go watch that to get maybe some more if you're interested. My next book recommendation, this one is basic, I know, Twilight, okay? But it's small town, it's feel good, it's awkward, and say what you might about Twilight, I absolutely adore Twilight. It's so awkward, and that's my favorite part about it, if I'm being honest. I love the awkward humor. So if you're this kind of person, if you've never read Twilight before, you should absolutely do it now. And, you know, I think I might even reread Twilight. I really enjoyed it. It's silly, it's stupid, but it's entertaining, and that's what fall cozy reading vibes are about. Okay, my next one is like so stupid obvious, but I'm gonna say it because I rewatch all of these movies every single fall, and I think a lot of people do too. So the book obviously goes with that, and that is Harry Potter. And, you know, obviously like the school, the cozy vibes obviously go with like Hogwarts, the cold castles, that type of stuff. The fiction, the fantasy element, it's just cozy, feel good. I love Harry Potter. It highly influenced me as a kid, and I think it's a great piece of fiction, and I highly recommend fall. Okay, so the next part of this video is what I'm reading this fall. So I only have a couple books because, if I'm being honest, with school and sports and all the extracurriculars that I do, I'm a pretty busy person. I'm not too optimistic about me being able to read a ton of books, but these are the ones that I am interested in. Okay, so the first one I have is Bride by Ali Hazelwood. I love Ali Hazelwood's romances. They're the only ones that I ever really enjoy fully. No other romances have made me like have clicked in my brain like hers do. And so this one is one that I definitely want to read. It's very silly, I will say that. It's a romance between a vampire and a werewolf. And like, okay, I know it's stupid, but those are such fall elements, and I think I'm already halfway through it. I'm doing a reading vlog that's going to come out next video. If you want to watch that, stick around. Be watching for that. And I really think, yeah, it's stupid, but I'm enjoying it, okay? It's fun, and fall reading should be fun. I think reading should be fun in general. If you're not having fun with it, then you're just miserable, and who even wants to be that? So just lighten up, okay? It's not that big a deal. My next book on my TBR is The Natural by Jennifer Lynn Barn. I've read some other Jennifer Lynn Barn. I even talked about her book in Books I Hate. I can admire her ability to write fast-paced, interesting books. And so, if you don't know, The Naturals is about kids with special talents who help the FBI solve criminal cases. And to me that sounds very interesting because maybe because I am a teenager, and so I'm definitely the intended audience for that kind of book. That just sounds really interesting to me. This one is basic. I've seen everybody recommend this book, but I really want to read it because I've heard great things about it. And the next one is The Only One Left by Willie Sager. So basically this book is about a girl who is framed for her entire family's murder, and she is impaired, and she has an aide who she tries to slowly like explain the story of how her family died, and that whole premise just sounds so interesting to me. I heard about it and I was immediately like, I have to read that. And so what better time to do it than fall when it's obviously dark, so I'm very much looking forward to that. So my next book is actually the next book in the Twilight series. It's called The Short and Second Life of Bree Tanner. I bought this at Harper's Books. If I'm being honest, the whole reason why I want to read this book is because I actually never finished all the Twilight books. I know that there's like the 4 ones, and if you just read those, you're fine. But there's a few more, and I actually have 1 or 2 more but I never finished them, and obviously the same reasons that I said you should read Twilight apply for this too. So, you know, fall vibes, cozy, that's what I'm going for. It's just basic, familiar. Fall's time for fantasy. I'm reading lots of fantasy. So that's my explanation. If you want to see what I'm reading while I'm reading it, you should follow my Goodreads. You can track and see my reviews as they go on. You should also follow my Instagram if you want the inside scoop on filming, editing, on my process, my reading experience. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know down in the comments what you're reading for fall, and be sure to give a like and subscribe.